What's up, guys? Today we're going to be installing our jack puck kit on the M2. We recently found out that the M2 chassis actually requires a slightly different jack puck assortment than the M3, M4. So we're actually going to throw our typical G Series BMW jack puck in the front. You can see it's a slightly larger unit, a little bit thicker, and then this distance is a little bit further apart. And then we have our other unit, which is going to go on the rear of the M2. It's a little bit shallower, and then this distance between these two are slightly narrower than the typical G Series jack puck. The kit will be the exact same otherwise, as far as you'll get two smaller and two larger jack pucks. We've got some bolts and washers, and then we have our nuts that go into the frame and then tighten this guy on so it's a permanent type of install. So let's go to the car. Let's get these on. Again, rear, front. All right, so we have the rear unit, which you can tell is a little bit shallower. We have our bolt started, and then this is the nut that I was talking about earlier. And you can see that that detail is on the downward side. This is on the upward side. That is actually going to rotate. It goes in, and it's going to rotate 90 and then go down, and that hits right inside that frame rail. So that stops from moving. We're actually going to let this kind of drop down and then tighten that bolt, and that's what keeps it into the chassis, or staying in the chassis. It's not a bad idea to use a little bit of Loctite to ensure that that doesn't come undone over time. And then a little bit of grease kind of keeps this O-ring in place if you're having a trouble with the O-ring staying on. So those are two pieces of advice. At this point, we've removed the OEM one. I've used screwdrivers in the past, and I've used pry bars, but you're gonna have to go up in here, kind of like push a little tab, pull down, same with from the back forward, and then that OEM part drops out. We're gonna go up with this guy, and then, like I said, we're gonna rotate 90 degrees and hope that seems to have locked into place. I'm gonna grab my 5mm Allen wrench and start tightening. And again, I'm using kind of like the weight of the jack puck itself to keep that from rotating on the chassis. And then as you get closer to the chassis, so it's getting pretty close to the end of the chassis, we can actually put it in, and then you can feel those tabs go in, and then we can tighten it all the way. As far as tightening torque, we're going German with the Guten-Tight, but realistically 10 to 12 foot-pounds, because that piece is aluminum, and this is an M8. 10 to 12 foot-pounds is pretty good, and we're not going to remove it from there. All right, guys, that concludes installing our jack pucks on the M2. It's basically the same as the Supra and the M3, M4, just a little bit different on the jack puck style because the chassis is different. Otherwise, exact same install. M8 hardware throughout, machined in America, no longer damaging those plastic pieces from the factory.